And welcome into this week's Citadel GrayLine, a show that covers all things Bulldogs and what goes on at the Military College of South Carolina. John Rawl is my name. I'm from the class of 1993. We have a very special host aspirant, co-host aspirant that we'll tell you about in just a second as we welcome you into a very happy Citadel GrayLine. We're happy this week because the Citadel, out of nowhere in my opinion, came out with a huge top 10 victory at Johnson-Hagan Stadium last weekend as they shocked the world, actually, the ETSU Bucks. Andrew Miller is with the Post Courier, and he's on to talk about the big win. Hello, Andrew.
How you doing, John?
I'm great. I'm ecstatic.
Well, you should be. That was a huge win for the Bulldogs. I don't know that it came out of nowhere. I thought they had a chance against ETSU. Yeah, but you know, you gotta take your hat off and give full credit to the Citadel defense. I thought they were outstanding. They had a couple of goal line stands, interception in the end zone. I thought, you know, besides a couple of plays here and there, they really were at the top of their game, and that's the kind of defense that I thought we would see this year, and that they will need moving forward to win more games here in the Southern Conference in a very tough and very balanced Southern Conference.
Well, I don't want to totally go against what I was saying. This was a ETSU team that was the defending SoCon champ that came into this game ranked, what, number 8 in the country?
8 in the country, yep.
That's right. And the Citadel, after their struggles at Campbell, and it just wasn't looking too good, and by golly, they pulled it out. So we salute you, Brent, Thompson, and team on a humongous victory, and we're here to talk about it. In fact, if you want to talk about it, we welcome your feedback right here on Citadel GrayLine. We've got a number you can text us right now, 843-779-8496. That is the way to reach out to the GrayLine with a text. If you've got a question or comment for Andrew, we want to hear it. And we want to remind you that Citadel GrayLine is brought to you each and every week by two of our great partners on this, IPS Packaging and Automation. They're based in Fountain Inn, and they're a name you can trust. Since back in '76, IPS Packaging and Automation has been providing manufacturers and e-commerce companies with the absolute very best packaging products and automation in the entire industry. IPS offers a complete line of packaging products from stretch films and 3M tapes to corrugated boxes, strapping, and equipment automation. IPS Packaging and Automation will analyze and streamline your current methods to improve your packaging process. Give Derek Murdoch, class of 97, a call at 800, he's the CEO by the way, 800-277-7007 to learn more about IPS Packaging and Automation, or visit them on their website, ipack.com. IPS Packaging and Automation, a proud supporter of Citadel, Citadel Athletics. So we appreciate them. We also appreciate our other partner on this, Big Red Palmetto Store. We're going to tell you about some of the great things they've got going on there. Richard is doing a fantastic job. Had a chance to talk to him this week, and I'll fill you in on Big Red Palmetto Store. And we'll have our Knob Knowledge question that we'll be asking, where you can get a $25 gift certificate if you are successful in answering the Knob Knowledge question of the week. So that's pretty exciting right there. What is also exciting is I get a chance to bring on what I'm calling a co-host aspirant. Of course, I had never heard of the word aspirant until I showed up at the Citadel years ago, and that's a big term, especially if you're wanting to be a Summerall guard. Are you familiar with the term aspirant, Andrew?
I am not.
It's someone who is aspiring to be somebody. So I'm an Andrew Miller aspirant, but right now we've got an Andrew Miller / Johnny Rawl aspirant, and that would be this guy right here, Thomas Scruggs, Citadel class of 1995. He's been a longtime listener, then viewer of Citadel GrayLine, and he and I were together the other day. He's like, I want to come on there. So here is your chance, sir. Take it away.
Okay, John, well, thank you for having me. A little bit surprised I got a call from you, an email from you 2 days ago that said, get ready. So I feel like I've done my homework. Of course, I watched the game on Saturday, watched it again on Monday, watched the press conference. So a lot of good things to talk about in last Saturday's victory.
All right. A lot of good stuff. So let's dive into the good stuff, if you will, amigos. And again, you called it out, Andrew. That defense was spectacular with some key stops right on the goal line.
Yeah, and that started in the first quarter. I mean, ETSU drives it, inside the red zone, inside the 5-yard line. They have, 2 or 3 chances to knock it in from inside the 3-yard line. I still don't understand why they threw the ball on 4th down. I mean, when you're that close to the goal line, I thought for sure they were going to either quarterback sneak it or use their big running back and have him go in. But give Citadel all the credit in the world. That defensive line was able to kind of control the line of scrimmage when they got down there, kind of slammed the door, wouldn't let them get into the end zone. And that kind of started, I think, the momentum for the upset that was going to happen. Like I said earlier, ETSU was able to hit a couple of chunk plays. They hit a big run. They hit a big pass. But really, other than that, I thought the Bulldogs did a great job defensively, kind of bending but don't breaking. That big interception in the 4th quarter by Destin Mack in the end zone, a 50-50 ball that he just made a great athletic play on, read the play, then went up there and got the ball that stopped another scoring threat that ETSU had. But really, overall, I thought the defense was outstanding. And after watching them play in the scrimmage, in the first scrimmage of the preseason, I thought this was the defense that we were going to see this season, and didn't see a ton of that against Campbell. I thought the second half Citadel played better defensively, but I thought they gave up way too many chunk plays, way too many explosive plays to Campbell. And to be honest with you, I don't know what y'all thought. I thought Campbell was a more athletic and honestly a better coach team than ETSU was. And I know they went up and lost at William and Mary this past Saturday, but I was really impressed with the athletes that Campbell was able to put on the field a couple Thursday nights ago.
Well, keep in mind, ETSU did come into this game with a new coach, as Randy Sanders left that program at the end of last year.
Yeah, but just some of the decisions, again, that 4th, and it was a 4th and a foot. That first possession they had inside the 5-yard line, and they throw the ball on 4th down. I never think that's a high percentage play. I know the quarterback's small. He was only 165 pounds, but still, quarterback sneak there, hand it to your big running back. Hey, if you don't get the yard then you probably don't deserve to win the game. But to try to pass it there on 4th down, I didn't like that call at all.
Well, it ended up working well. The Citadel gets the victory. Walk-off win, if you will, over ETSU, 20-17 at Johnson Hagan Stadium. The home opener of the Dogs now 1-0, and that sounds really nice. 1-0 in SoCon play, 1-1 overall with the key victory. And got to give Kenner, the kicker, the credit. He got out there, lined up, and then put it right through those uprights.
Yeah, he sure did, and a crucial, obviously moment. Last play of the game. The nerves have got to be going. I asked him, was he nervous, and he said he wasn't, which is surprising to me, because I would have. I don't know if I'd have been able to walk out there with all that kind of pressure on me and all the fans that were looking for him to get the game winner. And I know he had some accuracy issues earlier in his career, and I know Brent Thompson was super happy, super proud for Colby to be able to kick that game-winning field goal. And what a feeling that must be, for any player, really in any sport, that walk-off home run, the walk-off touchdown pass, that walk-off field goal. That's just got to be incredible for any athlete to be able to pull that off, especially in front of the home crowd.
What does that feel like, Thomas?
Well, I experienced it in church league basketball many years ago, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've never experienced that feeling, so I wouldn't know. I'm just a guy that stands on the other side of the sidelines, I guess, and runs my mouth, like a lot of us do, obviously. But a good win. Citadel now 1-1, as we said, and Mercer is the next opponent on the schedule. We're going to talk more about Mercer. We're going to talk more about the SoCon. And we're going to talk about Citadel Volleyball. Don't let me forget that, gentlemen, as they unveiled a SoCon championship banner inside McAllister Fieldhouse. And how about this? They beat Clemson the other day. I think it was the volleyball team. So we're going to talk about all of that right here on this week's Citadel GrayLine. Again, hey, give us a ringy-dingy. 843-779-8496. That's the text number you can reach us on if you've got a comment or question about Citadel GrayLine, or if you're watching us right now on Facebook Live, on our Citadel GrayLine Facebook Live page. Hey, hit us up with a question there. We'll be glad to take it. We'll send those right to Andrew, though. He's our guy that's going to answer all the tough questions. Give Thomas and I the softies. Brent Thompson has to stand in front of the microphone and answer tough questions from people like Andrew Miller, and he was able to do that this week with a little bit more of a smile on his face this week. Let's go in and hear a portion of Thompson's Monday presser at Johnson-Hagan Stadium, where he talked about the big win over the ETSU Bucks and the Dogs getting ready for the road trip to Mercer. Here's Coach Thompson.
Yeah, I thought mostly defensively we got a lot of confidence there, and we had to play some guys that we didn't know a whole lot about. Trayvon Wallace played a really good game for us, and filling in for a really good player that we were missing in Wilson Hendricks. So we were excited that we were able to play those guys. We've also played a lot more guys. Rhett Russell played a lot for us. He was another fifth-year guy that was able to step in and take some pressure off of our guys. So we were excited to be able to get a lot of those guys in the game. Offensively, we threw the ball better. We threw, I know we didn't break the 100-yard mark, which is where we usually want to be, but Peyton hit some pretty good passes, and we actually showed that at the end of the first half that we could probably move the ball if we were given a little bit more time and some more timeouts. Give ourselves a chance to get into field goal range and maybe take a long shot at a field goal. So those are the positives. As I said, the biggest negatives were the penalties, special teams field position. We lost 10 yards in kickoff return to their kickoff return. Those hidden yards right there are starting to add up to us. And moving forward, we can't afford those at all. We were lucky. We were fortunate because that was a good team. But anything moving from here on out is we just got to be better.
Okay, that was head coach Brent Thompson at this week's press conference, talking about new faces and more. And Andrew, your take on all the new faces that did appear at Johnson-Hagan.
Well, Trayvon Wallace was a guy that they were counting on from North Carolina Central, a graduate transfer, to come in and really add depth to that secondary. And what he was able to do after Hendricks got injured in the Campbell game, season-ending injury. I think it's a broken leg. I think that's what I've been told, or a broken ankle. Anyway, but they were hoping that Trayvon would be able to come in and give them really valuable snaps, valuable reps, and like he said, he played really well. I thought Russell, the Wofford grad transfer, he came in at linebacker. I noticed him on a couple of plays as well. Big rangy guy, not the biggest, heftiest guy out there in the world, but long and rangy, long wingspan, able to move really well. I thought he added some depth at the linebacker position. I think we're going to see those two guys play a good bit the rest of the season.
All right, and Mr. Scruggs?
Yeah, Coach Thompson mentioned specifically Carson Hatchett, who had 7 tackles, and Hassan Black had 6 tackles. Really pleased with the defensive effort. I think another story in the game, too, John, we haven't mentioned, was time of possession. The Citadel had the ball for over 39 minutes compared to East Tennessee State's 20 minutes. That was definitely a factor in Saturday's win.
Yep, Citadel excels in that time of possession battle, and when they don't excel, then often it's not a W at the end of the day. But in this case, it was a big win, and all parties were able to depart Johnson-Hagan Stadium, at least if you were wearing blue or white, and you had a fairly nice day at the office in this game that was also an Ingles game of the week. So some TV cameras on the Citadel on this one, and those TV cameras follow El Cid to 5-Star Stadium for this week's game against the Mercer Bears. Andrew, anything as far as injuries that we should be aware of from this game?
Not that I know of. I asked him about that after the press conference was over, and he said that everyone's, after a couple of games, are going to be bumps and bruises, and guys are going to be beat up a little bit. But overall, the health of this team is pretty good. One thing I do want to bring up, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, was that 2-minute drill that the Bulldogs ran to set up that game-winning field goal. They went, they started at the 3-yard line. They moved the ball down, I think, inside the 30, right? I can't remember the exact yard line they ended up finishing on, but Logan Billings, those two back-to-back 32 and 31-yard runs right up the gut. I mean, that really kind of set the stage for for that game-winning field goal, and you got to give the offensive line credit, and you got to give Brent Thompson credit with not putting the ball in the air like I thought he was going to do, and just gashing ETSU a couple of times for a couple of big runs. And Logan showed some speed and some grit. And one of the things that Coach Thompson talked about was the depth that they now have at running back allowed Logan to be fresh in that fourth quarter for that last drive that set up the game-winning field goal. So I think the depth is starting to come through on both sides of the ball.
And let's give Mr. Billings all the credit. 102 yards rushing on this day. Of course, half of that at least came on that final drive. A drive that, frankly, when I first saw the first rush out of this with just a few minutes left on the clock, you had to wonder, is Coach Thompson positioning this team to kind of run out the clock and just take it into overtime and give yourself a 50-50 chance there? Did y'all think the same thing?
Yeah, I thought, when you're on your own 3-yard line and you don't have the kind of passing attack that spreads people out and makes people tackle in space, when you have the kind of offense that they had, I thought he was playing for overtime, and I don't think that's a bad strategy in that situation when you're inside your 5-yard line. But when they hit those two big plays, then I think you realized that there was something afoot here, and they had a chance to win this game in regulation.
Did you talk to Billings after the game, Andrew?
I did. He was credited the offensive line, and he said when he broke the second time, the main thing he was thinking about was just hanging onto the ball, and he saw he had the ball with two hands the whole time, and guys were slapping at it, but he said he didn't want to put the ball on the ground, and I don't blame him. He really wasn't worried about getting yards at that point. It was just eating up as much ground as I can and keeping control of the football.
All right. Thomas, any final notes on this game?
Well, one thing that Coach Thompson mentioned in his press conference, that Billings came to him previously in the game and said that ETSU was over pursuing, and they felt like they could have some success later in the game, exposing that gap on the over pursuit. So and that played out there in that last possession, those two big runs.
Yeah, the other thing that I think was interesting to see, and I think we're going to see more of it this season, is that the Citadel played a lot of I formation, more I formation than I definitely saw against Campbell. And Jeff Hartzell was actually in the press box with me, said the most I formation that he has seen from a Brent Thompson coach team. So, and when I asked him about it at the press conference, he said we're going to see more of that. Some of that due to the new cut blocking penalties that are now. I guess they've outlawed cut blocking, which I didn't know about in college football. So it'll be interesting to see how much more I formation that the Citadel, kind of classic I formation that the Citadel runs here for the rest of the season. And is it going to catch Mercer and the teams on their schedule a little off guard, or are teams going to be better prepared for it?
Well, all again good on Bulldog front this week with a huge win. Yep. And 1-0, can't stress that enough. I don't have all the record books in front of me, but it feels like it's been a while since the Citadel had a winning record in SoCon play. Am I totally wrong on that, Andrew?
Yeah, he mentioned that this was the first home opener and the first SoCon opener that they've won. He said 4 or 5 years. So he really felt like, I bet going back to his first year. He felt really good about that, and he talked about how much more important the ETSU game was than the Campbell game, because Campbell is a non-conference game. So really happy with the win in a lot of ways. And I think this takes at least some of the pressure, a little bit of pressure off of Brent.
All right. Did it make you happy, Scruggs?
Absolutely.
All right. That's good to hear. Your happiness is of utmost concern to me. You know what? Our listeners and our viewers are also of utmost concern here on Citadel GrayLine. That's why we present each week here the Knob Knowledge Question of the Week, and it is presented by BigRedPalmetto.store. If y'all haven't been on there lately, you need to go and see what's going on at BigRedPalmetto.store. They have literally hundreds of items that have multiple Citadel logos available for you to purchase. I'm actually typing in the domain right now, and I'm going to go do a little shopping if you don't mind. and they have so many items. It's really fascinating. We started partnering with them 2 years ago. Richard Blanton and the crew of Big Red Palmetto Store, and it is fascinating to see the amount of items that they've been able to increase on their menu, if you will, of what they have at Citadel at the Big Red Palmetto Store. First of all, they got lots of polos, and that's really neat. I like wearing polo shirts. And they've got them in multiple logos, from Spike to Big Red. They've got the Citadel shield, the blazer uniform that cadets wear. That's on there. They have lots of hats. They've got really cool accessories like keychains and bracelets and necklaces, things for the home, really cool signs. And Andrew, they even have Citadel pillows. You can get you a Citadel pillow for your K9 American to play with. All at BigRedPalmetto.store. And because of Big Red Palmetto Store, we want to ask this week's Knob Knowledge question. And Scruggs, I don't want you blurting the answer out, okay?
Okay.
We're going to give some love to the Citadel volleyball team and head coach Dave Selinak, the defending SoCon champions. This week they raised a banner inside McAllister Fieldhouse to honor what the Citadel did last year, winning the volleyball tournament, SoCon tournament, inside Sanford's arena in Homewood, Alabama. And the Citadel went on to Georgia Tech and lost in the NCAA tournament. But what a great honor to make it to the postseason. The Knob Knowledge question this week in honor of Coach Selinak and the Bulldog volleyball team. Tell me where he played college volleyball. If you can tell me that, we'll give you a $25 gift certificate to BigRedPalmetto.store. Just fire that question, that answer to that question to us at 843-779-8496, 843-779-8496. If you tell me where Coach Selinak of the Citadel volleyball team played his own collegiate volleyball, you get a $25 gift certificate to BigRedPalmetto.store. Before we move on back to football, how about that volleyball team? I was correct. They did knock off Clemson as they went up to a tournament recently in Death Valley, and they came away victors over them. They also beat Gardner-Webb. Congratulations, Dogs.
Yeah, and Dave's done obviously. No, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Tommy.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, obviously, Dave's done a great job. I mean, I believe that's the first conference championship for a women's sports at the Citadel. If I'm not, maybe the rifle team, or I don't know if they have SoCon for women in rifle competition or not, but I got to believe that that's the first SoCon title in women's sports for the Citadel, and tip of the hat to him, and then going up to Clemson and beating Clemson. That's a huge win against a Power 5 program. He's doing a great job there. And I don't know what you guys thought. I thought that women's sports would really struggle at the Citadel, attracting the right kind of athlete, the person who wants to be in the military, be a part of that NOB system, and then also, get on the athletic field and perform. I know how tough that is for just male athletes. It's got to be even tougher for women. So just congratulations to them. Great job for them last year in getting that SoCon title.
Yes, absolutely. And call me crazy here, Andrew and Thomas too. I think all of our sports teams, no matter which one it is, should be the absolute best there is, because here's the reason: you kind of got to be a little tough to go to the Citadel. Period.
Absolutely.
You got to be a little tough to go there. And then if you add in the sports element, well, you got to be doubly tough, if you will. And so I just think the Citadel should win every game they ever play in every sport. That's just how I feel.
Spoken like a true graduate.
Well, I guess so. But, no, I mean, the Citadel's not a place where you go and take it easy. You got to be tough mentally. And, Thomas, even some of you had to be tough physically.
Absolutely. It's not for everybody, John.
No. Some people can sneak out of there, though. All right, so great job, volleyball team. Now, let's get back to football, if you will. Mercer, Andrew, before we went live, you said that Mercer just might be the best team in the SoCon.
I think they're the best. No, what I said was they were the best team that the Citadel has played so far.
That's an honor violation. I apologize.
Whether they're the best team in the SoCon, I think remains to be seen. We haven't seen Chattanooga yet. Obviously, they've got a really good team as well. But I certainly think Mercer is one of the most balanced teams they play. They have had some issues. Certainly defensively, they've given up some yards, but obviously they played Auburn in their second game and lost to them. But if you look at them offensively, they average about 215 yards on the ground and 230 yards. 230 yards in the air. Got a really good quarterback, got a good running back, got a good wide receiver. So it's going to be probably the best offense that the Citadel has faced so far. So that Citadel defense has got to have a performance like they did this past week against ETSU. I mean, Fred Payton, their quarterback's already thrown for almost 450 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2 games, and Ty James, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Ty James has got 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like I said, they got a good balanced attack. And one of the things that Coach Thompson brought up in the press conference was how much the Bears like to use a lot of misdirection, especially in their running game. So the Bulldogs defense has got to sometimes not let their eyes fool what's going on in the backfield, not get too centered on that, and the preparation for this week is going to be crucial, and not getting fooled by some of those misdirection plays.
Point taken. It looks like we have another possible aspiring aspirant, if you will, co-host here of Citadel GrayLine, as we have had multiple appearances in the background, Andrew, of someone near and dear to you. Who is that host aspirant?
Is that my dog? Is my dog in the background? Yeah, that's Bodie. He's a 6-month-old Bodie, Bodhi. If you ever watched the movie Point Break with Patrick Swayze, that's who he is named after. He's a 6-month-old Australian Shepherd. I'm surprised he's not here eating the camera. So I think we're lucky that he's been in the background. I don't know where he is now.
He'll be back out. But Andrew, make sure that you hear this correctly. You got a great Bodie.
A great Bodie. Well, he's a cutie pie. I tell you, he's very popular at there he is. There, he just walked back.
He'll be back.
He's very popular at the dog park.
Last year and for years we've had Mr. Hartzell on here, and he had a cat that would make appearances in the background. So we're switching from cats to dogs here, and maybe that's the right thing since we are all about the dogs. Okay, we've got 2 weeks of football season behind us now. Let's kind of take a look across the fence at what else is going on in the SoCon. Before I do that, how about, and I hate to say it because it breaks my heart, how about the 3 former SoCon members who are now members of the Sun Belt Conference and what they did this past weekend? Marshall, Appalachian State, and Georgia Southern all getting huge wins in the big boys that they faced off against. So, again, that hurts a little bit. They abandoned the powerful Citadel to go play those teams. But, Andrew, your thoughts, Thomas, your thoughts on what's going on SoCon-wise?
I'll let Thomas go first.
Well, I think it's great. Right now, if you look at the SoCon standings, you've got 2 teams at 1-0, Chattanooga and the Citadel. So, obviously a big test this week. Number 20, Mercer, big and strong on defense. That's going to be a real challenge for us. But SoCon-wise, we're in the driver's seat, John.
Yeah, and I think that's what Brent Thompson liked. I mean, he talked about being 1-0, having a winning record in the Southern Conference. I guess it hadn't happened in a while. So they control their own destiny, which obviously is great at this point. They've already cleared one big hurdle in ETSU. What I was thinking about when you were talking about Marshall and App State, I remember, and I don't know if you guys might have been in school when this happened, but when I covered the Citadel in back-to-back weeks, they played Marshall and they played Chattanooga, and they played against Randy Moss and they played against Terrell Owens in back-to-back games. And the defensive back, his last name was Moore. I want to say it was David Moore was the cornerback, but to cover those guys in back-to-back games. And I made some kind of snide comment that, Randy Moss and Terrell Owens have as much business being in the Southern Conference as Walt Nadzak does playing cornerback for the for the Citadel, the former athletic director. And then Walt came in after I wrote that the next morning at the press conference. I wrote a follow-up. I think it was in that Monday morning paper. And he came in and he pointed at me. He goes, "Andrew, I'll have you know I was an all-conference cornerback, whatever school that he went to. I can't remember the name of the school that he went to. And I'll have you know, I could have covered those guys. And I was like, Walt, I'm talking about you playing right now at the age of 60. And he goes, I still do okay. So I thought that was hilarious. He was Walt had a very high opinion of his athletic prowess back in the day.
The late Walt Nadzak, and I think I'm right on this. I think he's passed away since we went off the air last year. So a recent passing.
Yeah, Charlie Tapp too. That one. I got to know Charlie really well. The 4 years that he was the coach when I was on the beat. Had a tremendous amount of respect for him, and not only a great coach, but a really good person, and was in the business for the right reason. Trust me, I've met some coaches that were not in the business for the right reasons, and he was one of those guys that was.
Well, Andrew, I don't know what took you so long, but a guy named Rawl and a guy named Scruggs was hanging around back in those days, and you didn't come interview us. You missed out, but we got you now. We're excited about that. All right, again, one thing I wanted to point out on the SoCon side was Wofford. They got obliterated by Elon. I think Wofford's 0-2. I think I'm right on that. What's going on with Wofford?
Well, I mean, Mike Ayers did a great job when he was there. He ran that offense that just gave people fits. I thought he was an outstanding coach, and they just haven't found his replacement yet. I think you have all the tools there to have a successful program. But yeah, they got to find the right coach that's going to run it. And I go back to my days. I remember when Sean Graves played at Wofford. Were you guys there then? That might have been before your time.
No, I was there when that was probably Knob Scruggs' knob year when they lost to Wofford.
I was going to say, and that's when they had the whole monkey suit thing and everything like that, and it was a great, tremendous rivalry. You know, when Charlie and Mike were there, they had a lot of respect for each other. But let me tell you what, those guys wanted to beat each other's brains out, and I thought that made the rivalry great. So I want to see the Furmans and the Woffords be good, because I think that just makes those rivalry games that much better, especially when they're in state.
And speaking of FU, got to give FU some love. I thought they did pretty good against Clemson.
Yeah, they really threw the ball well. I mean, their offense, I thought, really moved the ball well. I don't know how much that Clemson was really invested in it. I'll let Tommy go from here.
No, I was just going to say, John, after 15 years of losing to Wofford, does not break my heart to hear they're 0-2. Now, yes, I agree with Andrew. We need Wofford and Furman to be good for the SoCon to be relevant. But definitely doesn't break my heart to see 0-2 next to Wofford's name.
Yeah. Well, they lost to Elon. We don't like Elon because they abandoned us for the bright lights of CAA, I guess. But that's where we stand on the SoCon side. Again, Citadel with a second SoCon trip this week to Mercer. And the Bears await at 5 Star Stadium. I'm checking to see if we have any guesses on our trivia question. And let me remind people what that Knob Knowledge trivia question for this week is, courtesy of BigRedPalmetto.store. The question is, Citadel Volleyball, your defending SoCon champion Citadel Volleyball team, has a really good coach. I'm actually blown away that he's still at the Citadel. When you win a SoCon championship at the Citadel, you'd think he'd be hired at the #1 volleyball school in America that needs a coach. But Zave Zelnok is still coaching, and that's good news for Bulldog fans. He's been coaching the Citadel for a number of years now, and last year he led them to the SoCon championship. I want to know where Zelnok played his collegiate volleyball when he was a youngster. I think he's still fairly young, but when he was even younger, he was a collegiate volleyball player. Tell me where he was a player, and you'll get a $25 gift certificate to BigRedPalmetto.store. And again, encourage everybody to go there and check out the great offers that they have available at BigRedPalmetto.store. It's so easy to do that, and if you know the correct guess on the coach where he played his volleyball, just text us at 843-779-8496, and we will be more than happy to pass along a $25 gift certificate to you, courtesy of BigRedPalmetto.store. I'm looking forward to putting in my order right now on all the wonderful items they have there on the site. And they got the multiple logos. They got Spike. They've got the jumping bulldog of the 80s. which I love. They've got the new Sea Star logo. They got the Samford Bulldog logo that the Citadel has. That's what I call it. They've got a great variety. So check it out at bigredpalmetto.store, and you will be the best dressed person at your tailgate outside of the stadium next time Citadel folks all gather around. All right, we're I think just about out of time. Any final notes from either one of you gentlemen?
Go ahead, Tommy.
Andrew. Okay, well, I was just going to say, John, it's a great challenge this week against Mercer. If we have any chance to win the game, we can't have 12 penalties for 71 yards. Thompson talked in the press conference about our passing game, which was pretty good, I thought, Saturday. The goal is to have 100 yards or more a game. So, if we can I thought we were pretty balanced last Saturday on running and passing. If we can do that against Mercer and not have those silly penalties, I think we have a good chance to win.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about passing game, I got to point out, we're cherry picking how good the Citadel is. That would be one Tyler Cherry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest keys to me is that the Mercer defense, they have given up some yards, they've given up some points in their first two games. And Tommy brought this up, and I thought it's a really good point. Controlling the ball, eating up as much clock as you can. It looks like that they have issues stopping the run. So control the ball, keep the ball away from their offense. I thought penalty-wise, what was interesting, I don't know if y'all noticed when Brent went absolutely ballistic on that blindside block call in the fourth quarter. I asked him about that at the press conference, and he said they had run the same play about 4 times. And in the first quarter, second quarter, and the third quarter, that was not a penalty. And all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, it was a penalty. And he talked about consistency and officiating. And I think as a coach, as a fan, as a player, that's all you can ask for. If it's a penalty in the first quarter, then it should be a penalty in the fourth quarter. And I thought that was, and I've never seen, like I said, I hadn't covered a ton of Brent Thompson coach games, but he said that's about as upset as he's been in a while at a call like that. So again, control the ball. You're right. Not cut down on the penalties, and I think they got a really good chance to beat Mercer. Although it's going to be tough to win on the road. I did want to mention one other thing. It's kind of off subject, but I had my FSU dad shirt on.
Yeah.
My daughter is working on a master's degree at the Citadel in American history. So I have a child that's going to the Citadel now.
Are you saying you want us to send you a Citadel dad shirt? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, if you can find one, that'd be great.
I think they got them. If you've got about $200, you can go buy one in the gift shop.
I think I'm paying the Citadel quite a bit of money for right now.
I'm being a little bit facetious. But they are a little bit pricey. But hey, your daughter's worth it, and the Citadel's worth it too. So get some of that big. Y'all making plenty of money down there at the Post and Courier. So yeah, feel free to splurge. Speaking of that, we better plug your employer. PostandCourier.com is the website. The Pulitzer Prize winning Post and Courier, Jeff Hartzell, is the sports editor. Andrew Miller's got the Bulldog beat for the Post and Courier, with bureaus across the Palmetto State. Man, they're just about everywhere. Let me know when y'all open up a Sally, South Carolina bureau, Andrew. I'll be excited to go check that out sometime.
Well, who knows? We've been opening. I think we're going to open a bureau in Florence. I know we opened one recently in Hilton Head. So
I want that one. Okay, assign me to that Hilton Head one.
Hilton Head, Buford. That's a great place. Yeah.
You know what's in Sally? What happens there each year, don't you?
I do not.
That is home of the Chitlin Strut. So you go get some good chitlins and cover it in the Post and Courier at the annual Sally, South Carolina event. I'm sure Thomas, a.k.a. Tommy, has been there.
Many times, John.
Okay, I thought so. All right. This week, the Bulldogs on the road at Mercer. That game kicks off at 6 o'clock, and it'll be available on ESPN+. A great way to see the games is if you spend the $10, or maybe it's $10.99 to be an ESPN+ member. Well worth it. And the Dogs on the road at 5 Star Stadium. We'll be right back here next week with more coverage of that game, and then getting you ready for a week off before the Dogs climb a familiar mountain. They'll be going up to Boone to take on the Appalachian State Mountaineers, the Texas A&M slaying Mountaineers of App State. We'll have that coverage all on next week's show. And We don't have an answer quite yet on the knob knowledge, so if you want to hit us up, just do that with the text line 843-779-8496. We will take care of the first correct guess, or if you'd rather email it, we'll take that as well. Citadel@yall.com is our email address here on the Gray Line. Thomas, I thought you did pretty good this week. What'd you think, Andrew?
I appreciate it.
I thought he did great.
Yeah, you brought a little heat, but we need more going forward. So
we'll work on that, John.
Bring it to you, and we'll do a good job. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, it's our pleasure to bring you coverage of Citadel sports and other goings-on at the Military College of South Carolina. For Andrew Miller, for Thomas Scruggs, I'm John Rawl, thanking you for being a part of Citadel GrayLine, a production of CRM.